we had 3 guys with machetes come at our night security, and we're not going to be doing it this year. It's just not safe.
Thanks so much for agreeing to meet with me and talk to me. If you would just, for our audience sake, introduce yourself and tell us where you're at and what is this place?
I'm Kristen Urig. I'm the owner of Jager Sporting Goods. We've been in business since 1921. My grandfather opened this store when he was just a teenager with his grandfather, and it's been in our family ever since. We bought this property back in the 50s, developed it into a boatyard, a huge boatyard, and then his daughter Marianne decided it should be a sporting goods store, so we added the ski shop, the paddle shop, the clothing department, the toy store. We have a huge toy store downstairs, all of our food preservation, and then, of course, we still have the hunting and fishing department and a great big camping department and workwear as well.
So one thing that I would really like our listeners to know is, so you guys have some traditions, and you just talked to me about a yearly tradition. Would you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. Part of our whole philosophy at Jaggers is to be involved in the community because we live here, right? We live here, we work here, we raise our families here, just like everybody else. So this Saturday, we're having our annual family fishing day where we invite people to bring their kids in, and we're going to set up buckets out in the parking lot, and we're going to be teaching kids how to cast into buckets to get a prize. And we'll be taking part of the fishing derby up at Lake Whatcom. And then we have events like this throughout the year where we try and involve the community and help multiple generations just enjoy the outdoors and bring their kids, bring their grandkids. And we hear it all the time from people that I came here with my grandpa, or I came here with my mother, and this is where we do all of our Christmas shopping because Santa's here. And we just try and make it one of those old-fashioned places that people feel nostalgic and feel welcomed and feel part of something that's been here a long time.
And I just want to touch on something so old-fashioned that during Christmas time, your music is live. It is not on the radio. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Some of it's on the radio, but we invite the high school groups in, their little quartets, a couple violins, maybe a cello, and they come in and they sit in our clothing department and they play for hours. I'm talking hours. These kids are great. And we have choirs come in sometimes, and it just gives them an opportunity for live performance, which is really important. If you've ever run a music department, my family has been involved in teaching in public schools for a long time. And just the opportunity for live performance is huge. And it's just charming. It's just charming to have, they're a little squeaky, but that's okay. It's just charming. And right next to them, we have our veterans organizations who do all of our gift wrapping. So we got the grandpas there, and we got the high schoolers there, and Santa's downstairs, and it's just fun. Lots of fun.
I really love that. And I just want to say that it's so amazing because you can't go to REI and get that, I'll tell you.
No.
And I'm an avid outdoor person, and I can tell you that I haven't experienced that anywhere. And for that to still exist in Bellingham, in light of the way that Bellingham has changed, it's just fantastic.
Yeah, we're still doing it.
Thanks for carrying on that tradition.
Yeah.
And I want to talk to you a little bit about how things have changed. Stuff is changing across our entire nation. We've seen an increase in our homelessness, an increase in drug use across the nation, an increase in crime, a decrease in incarceration and arrests. As a retail store, the gear that you guys are selling in here, I walked in and I felt like I was in heaven because I'm a mountain climber and a backpacker. But the gear that you guys sell, it's very valuable. What have you guys experienced over the last number of years, really, since you've been in business with theft?
Yeah. Well, it used to be we might see attempted shoplifting once a month. That was pretty typical for us. In the beginning.
Yeah.
Back when my father-in-law was running the store, he was famous for, if he saw somebody shoplifting, he would sit on them in the parking lot, and he had handcuffs, and they would just wait for police to arrive. That was kind of his go-to. He was a Marine. Yeah. He knew how to do that sort of thing. But I would say in the last 4 years, since the decriminalization of drug possession, we have seen a tidal wave of attempted theft, of attempted burglary, things that we've never seen before. And especially in the last 2 years, we've seen organized shoplifting, where they come in teams of 3 or 4. They sometimes have organized on their cell phones to go to different exits. They'll have a getaway car waiting. We've seen lots of vagrancy. We've had to deal with that. People coming in under the influence, which is a problem for the staff and for other customers. It's been like we've never seen before. Like I said, it's been dangerous. It's been depressing, I guess. I don't know when you're.
And what's depressing about it?
It's depressing because
aside from your business being affected and your staff,
right? It's part. You have this duplicity where you feel. You're angry that what you are working so hard to provide for the community is just trying to be taken out the door. And we're one of the few businesses that always tries to stop, and we are very good at it. We are very good at it. The police always commend us for that. It's that duplicity of, why is this happening? But then, oh my gosh, you feel sorry for people too, because it's a horrible way to live. Just a horrible way to live. And so it's these mixed emotions of anger and frustration, but also like, oh my gosh, there but for the grace of God go I, kind of a thing. Because we love this community. We've got all kinds of people living here, all sorts of political spectrums, all sorts of we've got rich, we've got working class, we have a really good diversity, I think, in Bellingham. Is one of the things I love about this town so much. But to see this tidal wave of people who are choosing this as a lifestyle, and it really seems to be that they're, when we talk to them, it's like, you can't do anything to me, you can't stop me, I have my rights, nothing's going to happen to me. We hear that over and over again.
So they say this, they verbalize this.
They're very,
inside the store when they're
very aggressive about it. They're saying, we know nothing's going to happen to me, you can't do anything to me, I'm taking this and I'm leaving. And we get our stuff back, and they leave, and they're pretty mad. Yeah. Because in other stores, larger stores, they've been allowed to just walk out. Yeah. And so they feel like they can do that anywhere. But, word got around pretty quick. You can't do that here. So it has lessened somewhat, because they're finding we're not an easy mark. But still, it's like, we just want to help people. We just want to, help people enjoy the outdoors. It's so hard to have to deal with this day after day and night after night, just having to constantly be monitoring cameras and making sure there's no more attempted break-ins.
I have so many things that I want to ask, but the first thing, do you at all feel responsible as a community member for the condition of the people's lives who are making the decision to live the way they are? No, I feel responsible for myself. I feel responsible for the decisions I make for my business, which are numerous, and we're getting new regulations and things thrown at us every month that we adjust to. So we're very busy with our own issues, and we have to be nimble, we have to be flexible, and we have to just, for a better term, suck it up and move on, make some goals and move on. And I think we have a great team here, and we have great support in the community. And so that's why we're still here when so many other businesses have shut down in the past 4 years. And how, amongst your business peers in the community, and you're a Bellingham native, and you've been functioning in this community for many years, how many of your friends, how many of your colleagues or peers have lost their businesses since COVID?
Wow. Most of them were shut down during COVID, deemed non-essential. I would say ones that did not come back, I know 5 personally. Others were able to come back in a limited capacity. They had to reduce their staff quite a bit, their overhead. I think it's been more of a statewide issue. We saw, some 30,000 businesses shut down permanently statewide. Yeah. So we're kind of an anomaly here because I think only 2% of businesses make it to the 4th generation. So that's a pretty small amount, and that we survived COVID and this crime wave, and we're still here, is pretty miraculous.
Do you think the crime wave is over?
No.
So you mentioned something about security at nighttime. I would really like for you to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it's something that actually Bellingham police have been so helpful. They're wonderful, and they have great ideas. We've talked to them a lot about, because we have a big property, about how we can better secure our property and our merchandise, and they've given us great tips about outdoor lighting, about ring cameras, about fencing, about just how we communicate with our 24-hour security company that helps with our security, and how they communicate with the police and how they're communicating with us. And so we've reduced our response time considerably, which we've had to, because the police are busy dealing with violent crimes too. And so property crimes are not as high on the list. Mm-hmm. And we realize that. And so we're like, okay, we're gonna do what it takes to help police help us. And so we have tripled all of that, and we monitor and we respond within seconds now, not minutes. We respond within seconds. And that has really changed things considerably.
So who's responding in the middle of the night?
We are, our family.
So are you guys are you losing sleep? Talk about that a little bit.
Lots of lost sleep. We're kind of taking shifts. We each have the ability to respond to the alerts, and we kind of take shifts. So, we are. My son has one of those watches where you can monitor your heart rate and everything, and he's like, "Yeah, no REM sleep last night," and so he's keeping track of it. We're kind of interested to see how this is affecting us physiologically, because there's going to be a point to where if you haven't had REM for a month, that's not gonna work. Yeah. So we're figuring out kind of shifts to deal like that, and it's, on the one hand, we feel like we shouldn't have to be in this situation, but here we are. Yeah. And when you're in a business, you just push through. You just find a way to push through, and that's why we've been here for so long. So we are. It's taking a toll, but we're doing it because the police don't have the hours or the manpower to do it for us.
And you're determined to succeed.
We are.
Yeah.
We're determined to succeed, and with law enforcement support and with the support of the community, we're going to get through this. We're just going to.
Have any of you been assaulted during any of these attempted or successful burglaries, robberies?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Men and women on staff and in our family. Yeah.
Okay.
We've seen knives, hammers, machetes. It gets pretty scary sometimes.
And you guys still stand up in the face of all of it.
Yep.
And I really value the fact that you said, this shouldn't be happening, but here we are.
Yeah.
So you haven't just rolled over and said, this is somebody else's responsibility to take care of.
No, I feel like this business has been so much a part of this part of Birchwood for so long. I don't know. I feel like a sense of ownership, I guess. Mm-hmm. I feel responsible to this neighborhood to be this hub of people can come here. One of the reasons that we do what we do is we want people to feel safe when they shop here. We want people to feel like they're served when they shop here. They can bring their families here. We care about people. that's one of the things that we communicate to our staff all the time, is that the reason that we're here, the reason people always say, "Oh, I love Jaegers." You can go anywhere in town. People say, "Oh, I love Jaegers." It's the first thing out of their mouths. It's because it's not always about profits for us. It's about building a community, not tearing down a community, not throwing in the towel and moving away from a community. We're trying to keep it together. We're trying to keep our families anchored here so they can raise their kids and they can raise their grandkids. And having shops like this and having businesses that stick it out is one of the things that I think anchors a community, because we don't want it to just be all box stores and malls. We want to keep this sort of thing, and we're working hard to do it. So
Thank you for being a pillar here. Who have you addressed in your community to try to get support with all of the things going on?
well, I figure, you have to let people know what's going on, because they're busy too. They have their own issues to deal with. But I have written, I wrote to Mayor Seth Fleetwood. I wrote to the new Mayor Lund. I wrote to the county council, the city council. I wrote to the prosecutor. I wrote to the sheriff, just letting them know, this is our reality right now, and we could use your help. And I realize that you guys are backed up something awful with the things that you're dealing with, but this is where we're coming from. These are problems we could use some help with. I didn't hear back from anybody except the prosecutor. But that doesn't mean that they didn't hear me. That's just mean that he was the one who got back to me. So,
Do you feel like even though you didn't get any response, there has been support that has rallied in response to your letters at all?
I feel like I've seen a change since the new mayor was brought in.
Okay.
I've seen a change, and not just in our store and what we're dealing with, but I've talked with other businesses as well, that they're seeing garbage being cleaned up. They're seeing a quicker response time to some calls, and that's good. So it's starting to budge a little bit. If we could see, more property crimes actually having some consequences, some jail time, I think that would help. Because, like I said, right now we're being told by the people while they're committing the crime, nothing's going to happen to me. And I think that that's something that really needs to change. I think that whole attitude of nothing's going to happen to me only creates a bolder thief.
Yeah.
I mean, how can it not?
Yeah. I have a teenager who, when she thinks that nothing's going to happen, she is sassy
Oh,
as all get out.
yeah. If I when my son was a toddler, he used to steal knives out of the dishwasher and run off with them. And if I just said no consequences, of course that was going to end in disaster.
Right.
There just have to be consequences. That's why we have laws, and that's why we have punishment for breaking those laws.
Do you feel like laws have changed in the last 4 years?
Yeah, like I said, I think with the decriminalization of possession, I think that's when we saw this, big influence of the associated crime that goes with that, with the cartels moving in and just people stealing things so they could fence that, get the cash, and then buy more drugs. It's just a cycle. So I really believe that it was a policy-driven tsunami of crime. I do.
Talk to me a little bit about your community outside of the store. What's changed in Bellingham? Do you feel safe downtown Bellingham?
No, no. We're pretty. It depends. Sometimes we'll go down to the pump track area, and that's right in the heart. But we always go in groups. I don't bike alone anymore down at the waterfront because I was accosted by 5 vagrants down by the marina on my bike in the middle of the day. So I don't go down there anymore. We have had to increase the security around our home. Our whole neighborhood has been hit with break-ins and attempted break-ins of people stealing stuff. So that's new. It's been difficult, I think, for trying to do special events. Even here, we usually have a tent sale. It's been something we've done since the 50s, a great big tent sale, but we had 3 guys with machetes come at our night security, and we're not going to be doing it this year. It's just not safe. We can't put people at risk like that. So unfortunately, we're not going to do that. So I think it's still a big problem. And it's, I've had friends move away. That's been sad.
Yeah.
Because they just couldn't deal with it anymore, and they didn't see an end, the light at the end of the tunnel kind of a thing.
Do you see a light?
I do. I'm
How far down the tunnel?
I think it happened so fast. I feel like it could be fixed pretty fast if we just reverse some of the policies that put these things in place. I know there's consequences, there's backups that will have to be dealt with, but I think it could work. I really do. I think we have things in place that if they're just tweaked, I think we could do it. And but again, it's okay for maybe the ones who put the policies into place to say, we tried it, it was a mistake. We're going to repeal that, and we're going to try something else. I really don't think it would take that long to turn things around, because they got bad so fast. I feel like they could turn around really fast. I really do. And
Is that something that you think the policymakers are comfortable doing these days? Because I would agree with you 100% on that. And I just find that is an uncommon method of conduct for many people in positions of authority.
Yeah. Hard to say.
Yeah.
It's hard to say, because there's no doubt that they love where they live too.
Yeah.
They choose to live here. So why not try and make it a better place?
If you could share a message with your community and with other business owners of how to get through this, what would it be?
I would say hang in there. I know it's hard, believe me. I know how hard it's been. I know how physically, emotionally, financially draining it's been, how much you've had to adjust to one major change year after year. But try not to lose hope, I guess. Just hang in there. I think that people who built this country dealt with things that were a lot harder. They dealt with world wars. They dealt with the Great Depression, and they mustered through. And I think we can do the same. And I think we have a lot more resources and a lot more ability to adjust than they did. So I think it can be done. And I think if we pull together and we listen to each other and we make some changes, I really think we can make it better.
I think you're right. And it makes me wonder one thing. You and your staff have made the decision to not just submit to the pressure, the aggression and the violence. I know that a lot of stores are told not to chase, not to stop. Mm-hmm. Why have you guys decided to do that? And how would you encourage somebody else to try that themselves?
Well, we do tell our staff that if they feel they're going to be hurt, just let that merchandise walk out the door, because it's never worth you getting injured. Mm-hmm. But again, we're very good at what we do. So it's hardware sales, but we're very good at what we do, and we are able to see what's going to happen before it's going to happen. So 90% of the time, we can stop it before it happens. Other times, we just put our hands on the merchandise and we say, you're not taking that out the door. And they'll let go of it. The people who we know are going to fight are usually surrounded very quickly. Our staff is very good at supporting one another, and we're just letting them know it's not going to happen today. It's not going to happen today. We're very good at de-escalating, and the majority of the time it works. Awesome. You don't have to fight with people. You don't have to wait till they get out the door and chase them down. You just have to pay attention.
Yeah.
And and as kindly and respectfully as possible say, it's not going to happen here, not today.
Thank you so much. If there's anything else that you want to say, please do.
I just want to thank people for continuing to support our store and our family. And we have had so many great letters, great Yelp reviews, Google reviews, people coming in saying, I had no idea a place like this still existed. And that is just like food for the soul. You know, one of those can make your whole week with other stuff that you deal with. It's just been great. So just want to thank people for encouraging us in that way. It goes a long way, believe me.
Thanks so much for your time today, Kristen.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for your service.
Yeah.